So let's do some engagement. I'm going to ask you, since we're talking today about marketing and how to promote, I want you to type into the chat bar, please, what you are trying to market. I know that we have an entrepreneur named Baron who wants to get a business off the ground. So you want to type that into chat if you would, Baron. I would assume everybody could type in that you want to promote your Rotary Club. So that you can get more members and help more people. We know that when you have more members in your club, there's more energy, more personalities, more talent, more money coming into the club, and you can therefore help more people. So thank you, Pete. Yeah, help marketing the club for sure. So I want to ask another favor of you. If you hear something that you like today, I want you to go down to the reactions tray and press the thumbs up button. You'll see how I just did it to demonstrate. You can do that for me. That way I know that we're together, you're with me on this. If there's something you disagree with and you want to chat about it, just interrupt me and we can talk more. I'll take questions as we go. I can take questions at the end. It doesn't matter to me. You can type questions into chat. We'll leave time at the end to handle questions. I want to thank Chris for inviting me to speak to you today. You'll have to forgive me. I don't know your club well. I don't know what your struggles are until you tell me. But I'm going to give you some ideas that will get you stimulated anyway and excited about the possibilities. I've already typed some free links into the chat. If you scroll up, you'll see several places that you can get tools for doing better with promotion, including a free group on how to get more speaking tips. It's called Present Like a Pro. And if you like my style and you want to steal some of my ideas, just follow me on social and you'll see how I do this. I do it for my club, I do it for my district, I do it for the zone, and I do it for my business as well. So let's get started with some ideas. When we came up with this title of the program today, How to Get Attention in a Noisy World, it occurred to me that there's a really easy example of why this is super important. So some of you are fairly young. You may not remember there was a time when you couldn't stream movies. There was a time when you couldn't even rent movies. You had to wait for the movie to come on television on basically one of three networks, ABC, CBS, or NBC. After a while, you could watch movies on a special cable service called HBO, which was brand new at the time. And after HBO, I think, came Showtime. And then these other cable platforms started to come out. Then you could also rent VHS, this was probably a bit before HBO, or Betamax cassettes at places like Redbox and your local video store, and you could rent the videos there. And while every time a platform adds, they're advertising to you on how you can watch movies. Stay with me now. Then came DirecTV and satellite television that you could subscribe to. Then came streaming opportunities like Hulu, Tubi, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Sling, Peacock, Fubo, HBO Max, Paramount Plus. It goes on and on and on. And now all of them are advertising how you can watch your favorite movies. How many of you have struggled when you're trying to find a movie and you can't find what platform it's on? Give me a thumbs up. And you're like, I want to watch this, but I don't know where to find it. I've got to Google it first. And it's because there are so many platforms available. The same is true, by the way, with how news is brought to you now. It comes in all these different platforms. You can get news on Twitter. You used to be able to get news on Facebook till they lost control of it. You can get news on LinkedIn. So there's all these platforms and everybody is fighting for your attention. How about getting people to join your Rotary Club? Kiwanis is advertising, Knights of Columbus is advertising, Optimists are promoting what they've got going on. Everybody wants a piece of the action and everybody is promoting. And the people who promote the best are the organizations that grow. It's that simple. If you have a value proposition and the value proposition is clear, people will sign up with you, but you first have to be able to cut through all the noise, and it's not easy. So there are three ways that you can increase your effectiveness when you're marketing to get through the noise. And that's assuming a very important assumption now that you have something called a value proposition. So let's talk about the value prop before we talk about the three things that will improve your effectiveness. The value prop, quite simply, is an undeniable offer by which someone applies to or collects on, and they are sold. They will never leave, for example, your club, right? They will never consider not paying dues. They would never consider leaving because it is so interesting and it's so valuable to them. And this is something that a lot of Rotary clubs have trouble delivering. They even have trouble defining it. And I don't know where your club is in the grand scheme of things. I mean, have you been able to identify the value proposition? What is your closing ratio? If you pitch a Rotary club to 10 people, how many join? 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10? Do you have to pitch more than 10? Do you have to pitch 50 people to get one person to come? So that's called the closing ratio. And to the extent that your value proposition is super clear, the closing ratio goes up. I can tell you in my business, when I onboard people into a program, an online course I have called Present Like a Pro, my closing ratio is 50%, 50. And the reason it's so good is because I pre-qualify people before they get on the call. I'm not pitching to people who aren't interested. I'm pitching to people who not only would be interested, they need me. There's no other way they can get what they want unless they get it from me. And so when I spend a few minutes with them, they start to see this and they go, okay, let me get my credit card. Let me sign up. And that's the kind of relationship you want when you're trying to recruit people to your club, for example, or to your new business. So you have to have this value proposition. It has to be super, super clear, and it has to be obvious, not just to you, but to people, for example, that visit the club. It has to be super clear to them. Now let's talk about the 3 ways that you can improve on the value prop. The first is called the modality, right? So how do you get people to visit your club? You could use something called WOM. Anybody know what that means? Word of mouth. You could just tell people and they would come. Today we have 13 participants. How many people live in the immediate area of this club? You guys are near New York City, or how far from New York City?
The adjacent county.
Yeah, so how many people live in your county?
The total population of the county?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'd guess in the million.
About 2 million. There's about 200,000 in Yonkers and about 2.5 million throughout Westchester County.
Let's use the number 2 million, Pete and
Sure.
Chris, as a conversation. So 2 million people in and around where your Rotary Club functions, and you were able to get 13 people to the meeting today. So we can agree that there's room for growth, yes? Now, how do we get that undeniable value proposition, once it's perfect, to those 2 million people? So you have 15 people coming, 20 people coming, 30 people coming, 40. How do we do that? And I'm not just picking on your club. Rotary membership could be better all over North America. If you've been tracking membership numbers, this has been a very challenging time for multiple reasons. So we need to get our act together on this, and it's not an easy code to crack. So modality, word of mouth, could be Facebook, like a Facebook group, could be LinkedIn if you wanted to attract young professionals, could be email. What's the problem with email? You can only email people that are on your list. How many people are on the club's distribution list? Anybody? Do we know? Do you have a distribution list? Maybe not. So I can tell you, as a business, I have 7,000 people on my list, and it's just me collecting email addresses. But I'm really good at collecting email addresses. And in fact, in the way that I posted those free tools to you, I collected some of your email addresses already in this call. And I'll never take advantage of that relationship. I will only send things to you that are useful. And as long as you feel I'm useful, you will be a fan. And this is the kind of thing that you want to do with your club. So you need a larger distribution list, and you need to collect those emails. You collect them at live events, you can collect them in online registration, etc. You've seen other people do this. I know you know how to figure it out. So modality is the first way that you improve and collect on your value proposition. The second way to collect on it is something called frequency. So McDonald's, I read an article one time, I don't know if the number's still true, but McDonald's needs to advertise an Egg McMuffin to you 7.5 times before you actually buy one. So unless you're a better marketer than McDonald's, you need to hit people up 7.5 times or more before they attend your meeting, come to your event, donate money. You got to really good at this. You have to become a professional marketer. Baron, people aren't going to sign up with you just because you want them to. They have to be convinced, and you have to be persistent. And that's where frequency comes in. And you can't just send them the same message over and over again. You know, there's somebody in our district that's marketing a district event coming up, and she's in the bad habit of putting the same subject line on all the emails. So it looks like the same message coming through all the time. Well, I've already saw the email once, the subject line. There's nothing new in the subject line. What is the average person inclined to do? Delete or skip it or deprioritize it, right? So she would do better to have a fresh subject line so that I see it in a different way. That way she can get more opens. Remember, when you're doing emails, everybody, you need the sequence here. First thing you need is a delivery rate. Then you need an open rate. Then you need a read rate. That's the hardest one of all to measure. And then you need a CTR, or click-through rate. That's when they click on your link or open, you know, whatever it is that you want to open, or go to your registration page. And you have to have all four of those, otherwise it doesn't happen for you. This is an involved procedure. I don't know if you've ever thought about simple messaging like this, but this is how it works. This is how people get really popular at this.
I'm
So
sorry, what was the first rate? You said before open rate?
yeah, you need a delivery rate.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right. So you could have a list. Was that Stella? You could have a list.
No, it was Latasha.
Oh, thank you very much. You could have a list of 1,000 people, but if the emails are dead or dupes or incorrect, you know, or people aren't actually ever seeing your email because it's getting screened by spam filters or firewalls, you can imagine maybe only 500 people are even receiving your email. It's not a list of 1,000 at all. It's only a list of 500. So that's the first one, is open rate. And then the second one is something called, the first one is delivery rate. The second one is called open rate, which is solely determined by the subject line, Latasha. If your subject line is no good, people will not open your email. It has to be intriguing. It has to be provocative. Don't put the word Friday in your subject line. It's not important enough. Is it this Friday, next Friday, last Friday, Good Friday? You see, I'm not going to open that email right away. It's not jumping at me. Now, if you say fun on Friday, just adding 2 words, I now understand if I'm going to get some fun if I open this email, and I'm more likely to open it. That's an easy example. And then the third thing that you're asking about is the read rate. That's the hardest of all to measure. That's when they actually open the email and read it. It's not easy to measure that, of course, but if they don't read the email, the odds of them clicking on anything are nil. So you need them to read it. Does that help, Latasha?
Michael, I have a question. This is Stella now.
Yeah.
So will it be okay using tools like MailChimp? That actually, with that you can measure whether what the
Yeah, you could use MailChimp. I think what you have to remember, though, if you're going to keep a list, a dist list, it's called, Stella, distribution list.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep a dist list, it's like a monster you have to feed and bathe and clothe and take care of. You have to go through it once in a while. Who's not opening? Whose emails bouncing? It might even be somebody you know, because somebody typed in .cog instead of .com. I mean, that's an easy fix, right? But you have to pay attention. And most importantly, you have to keep adding to the list, always adding to the list.
Okay.
Okay, helpful?
Yes.
I heard at ClickFunnels as well.
ClickFunnels is a pay-to-play program, I believe. It's Russell Brunson's program. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I've been hearing a bunch of these. You had to collect a bunch of emails.
Yeah, you can sign up for ClickFunnels. It's an expensive program. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I'm saying you could do some of this stuff without signing up for the expensive program. You just need to get organized.
I think I'd rather MailChimp because it's free.
Yeah, I'd start with free and get it figured out. That's a good idea. By the way, Russell Brunson and most entrepreneurs offer a lot of free tools. If you just watch his free videos and monitor his Facebook chat, you can get a lot of tips on how to do this better. All of us have free tools out there. You got to be looking for them. Okay, and then the final of the three things now. So we talked about modality, frequency, and the third one is megaphone, and that's the size of the list. That's how many people are following you on Facebook. That's working with what we call Facebook kings and queens, Instagram kings and queens. Malcolm Gladwell calls these people sneezers in his book Outliers. Tipping Point. He talks about sneezers. So sneezers, COVID aside, sneezers like can infect other people, right? So Stella, if you have 1,000 friends on Facebook, but you know somebody that has 5,000 friends, try to get them to post the message. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they have a bigger megaphone and they can, quote, infect more people with the message. This is the idea. That's why it's good to stay on good terms. When I do programs for people and they need help marketing, I encourage them to find these Facebook kings and queens, for example. And the people often say to me, well, why would somebody that I don't know very well, why would they promote something for me like this? Why would they post? And I said, because you're going to give them a free ticket to the event.
True.
The ticket costs $50. It comes with food and drink. They like to go to parties. So you're going to count them 2 tickets and they're going to get you 10, 20, or 30 people to come to the event by posting 2 or 3 times to their group. So that's how it works. Okay. And then the combination of all those things then will create an effective campaign for you. Now, I know you all want to improve, and I know that you don't mind me using your own club as an example. Chris and I communicated about this a few days ago. So for this event today that you are trying to get people to come to, that now we have 14 people on the call, 14 people have attended in a county with 2 million people, and we're looking at how we can get more people next time. The way that you wanted people to come to this event, to sign up for it, was to send an email. Now let's review what they had to do in order to sign up. They have to see the email in a graphic, because I saw the graphic, I think Stella created it. It was a good looking graphic. But they have to type that email into that email address into an email and then communicate with a live person. So there's going to be a time delay. They can't sign up right away. That live person has to reply to them. And the more people that sign up, the more homework that one person has. Do you see the problem that you'd have if 100 people wanted to come to this presentation today? That person would have to answer 100 emails, one by one. This is called two-step marketing. And it's problematic on a bunch of levels. Not only is it harder for your club, but it's harder for the people that want to attend because they're not used to typing in an email address to go to a registration link. They're used to just going to the registration page and entering their stuff. So I would recommend getting that in place for next time or whenever you can. And that's called one-step or one-click registration.
And you would do that, Michael, by like adding the Zoom registration or something to the email is what you're saying?
Yeah, instead of an email address, Latasha, you would be offering them a web page,
Okay.
AKA a registration link. You see?
Okay.
And then when they get there, you're only asking for 2 things: first name, email address. Because the more stuff you ask for, the less likely they're going to fill it out. So you might want more information, but you want them to register. That's the number one thing. Email address, first name. And now what do you do with those emails? And then once you have them, anybody,
I think they go to the landing page of the website. I'm not sure.
Okay, so the question was, what do you do with the emails that they give you? And the answer is they go to your distribution list. You add them to your
Oh,
list
distribution.
and
Yeah.
you keep inviting them, you see, Baron?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And you don't spam them, you don't send them junk, and you don't send them the same invitation 5 times. Then they'll quit your list. So you have to respect the relationship. And it takes time to figure this out. You have to, sometimes people quit my list and I email them and I say, why did you quit? And I think it freaks them out. You know, first of all, I noticed. Secondly, that I even care, right?
Mhm.
I want to know. And sometimes they say, well, I never signed up for the list. They forgot that they gave me their email. Sometimes they say, you send me too many emails. Okay, good to know. Sometimes they say, I'm not really interested in your stuff. I say, okay, thank you very much. Thanks for being with me. But at least I know.
Mhm.
And I'm very attuned to the people that follow me, and I try to give them what they want. I don't give them what they don't want. I want to be a good guy about this. So it's just about being in tune and paying attention. We'll do some Q&A here in a second. So this is the lesson I wanted to share with you today of how to break through in a noisy world to promote anything, your club, your business, your brand, your charity, your church, your condo association. You can use these techniques to promote anything. So some last minute tips here before we do the Q&A. I want you to friend, especially this is a fairly young demographic on the call today, younger people, which means you got a good thing going. So you want to sign up more younger people. We call them young professionals or yo pros. You want to friend, you as people now, individuals, want to friend 5 people a day on LinkedIn. You need a larger network to attract people to whatever it is that you're marketing, even if it's the Rotary Club. So I'm going to guess that most of you have somewhere around 300 to 600 friends on LinkedIn, because most people do. But if you really want to get good at this, and I think President Pete, are you running for council or you're on council now?
I'm running for council. I was previously running for the president of the council last year, and next year I'll be running for local city council. I have a little over 12,000 followers on LinkedIn and
Good for you.
connections.
So that's the idea, see? Now, so he's putting himself out there and he's available to people. And anybody that's getting ready to vote, they go, who is this guy? Oh, I see he's popular already on LinkedIn. He's popular here, right? Now Pete has a separate problem, which is if people message him on LinkedIn, he has to reply. He has to acknowledge them.
It's
And
fun.
yeah, and in politics, you know, he's going to get all kinds of messages on LinkedIn. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
might have to set up a team or an assistant or some way to, you know, respond to people.
3 assistants.
There you go.
Yeah.
What kinds of questions or interests do you have? And I'll look at chat here while we're catching up.
Michael, here is a major question. You with me, Michael?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. As you know, we are running this. I'm big on meaningful projects. So we run this outreach projects. We tested about 200 women. Okay. And we have all of their emails.
Yes.
They get our events links. However, as of now, the response have been close to 0. And my sense is that the demographics are completely different. The people who have come to these programs, who have taken advantage of the outreach, are basically people who tend to be in the lower socioeconomic strata, who are more insulated communities like immigrant communities, no immigrants, people who have difficulty talking English, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've just been wondering whether there is any way to reach them.
Well, you have to get a proper diagnosis to the problem first, you know, and it's impossible for me to tell because it's complicated, you know. Did you just add all of the, you got a hold of a list? Did you just add all the lists to your list? Did you get their permission? Did they buy in the first place? Are the subject lines unattractive? Once they get into the email, is the offering clear? I don't know why it's 0, but there's a reason. And I don't know what it is, but you have to keep kind of turning over the rocks until you find out what it is. Here are some questions in chat that may give us an indicator. There's a comment here from Arif about opening an email. Let's see. Oh, rather than attached information. Yeah, never send attachments in your email. You need it to be really simple, almost, the phrase idiot proof, that they read the email and they don't have any questions. Because if they have questions, they're not going to click anything. If they're undecided, they click nothing. If there are too many choices, they click nothing. Another question from Pete, how many words suggested for the subject line? I would think if you're good at writing, no more than 6 or 7. Back to that Friday subject line. Want to have fun on this Friday. Want to meet some cool people this Friday. Do you like wine? Is a great subject line, right? Do you like to give back? Is a great subject line. Yes questions. They're called binary questions, yes or no, right? And ask yes questions, not no questions, because you get more click-throughs. Let's see what else is here. What is your unique position for Rotary as an example? Latasha, please.
All right, I meant the unique selling proposition for your Rotaries. Excuse the typos, yeah.
So I have a bunch of them, right? I'm not responsible for my club anymore. I've already been president, so there are other people running the show, and they have their own way to roll. But I'll give you an easy example. When I was out last weekend, I spoke to 400 people in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I wore my Rotary pin, right? And people would see me in the lobby, in the elevator, in buffet lines, on the airplane, wherever. They'd say, "What's Rotary? What is that?" And I tell them, "This is the best decision I've ever made." What do you think 99% of the people say, Latasha?
Tell me more.
That's exactly right. You see? And that's called permission-based marketing. Now I have permission to tell them more. Instead of me fire hosing them with everything great about Rotary, they're inviting me to tell them about it. And I just keep reeling them in. I keep teasing them. Do you like to give back? Do you like children? Do you like helping people? That's what our group does. And I keep teasing them more about, wanting more information. This is an easy example.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah. We're wrapping up here. I know we're tight on time. Let's see. Why is LinkedIn the preferred source? Because you want to fish where the fish are. Write that down. Fish where the fish are. If you want more women in your club, bring in more female speakers. If you want younger people in your club, get younger speakers. If you want people of color in the club, invite people of color to do specific topics that appeal to those people, and it'll happen. It's very a natural process. And then you market, when you market a person of color, for example, I call it fish bait, right? Because you're like today, you use me as fish bait to get people to come to the club. So if you've got somebody that knows what they're doing, or they have a certain type of an appeal, don't hide that appeal from people. Show their photograph when you market, like Stella did when she created that graphic. I think my face was in the graphic, right? And if it's a younger person, they'll see, oh, that's a younger person speaking. I don't want to hear an older person. It sounds mean, but people say this to themselves. I don't want to hear an older person speak. I want to hear a younger person speak, or an Asian person, or whoever. So this is the idea. Why is LinkedIn the preferred resource? Well, again, if you're looking for young professionals, it would be the preferred source, right? If you're looking for younger people, it would be TikTok or Instagram. Maybe a younger person that they can relate to send out the messages. Yes, I think that's true, right? Because an older person maybe doesn't understand these technologies and wants to default to, say, email, which is a 30-year-old program now. Free booze is a fantastic subject line. I'm surprised it's coming from Krishnan, but there it is. 1 email a week to customers would be fine. Yes. And maybe, I think it's the follow-up email that's even more important, Baron. So when somebody says, asks a question, that's like a buy signal. They're interested. So you want to give them extra attention. What other questions do you have before we wrap up, everybody? Great questions.
Okay.
I'm going to post.
Besides email and social media marketing, what else has been successful for you, or things that you've been looking to promote or market? What are some other really good tools other than social media and email and text
Yeah, it's a
blast?
great question. I think personal phone calls are extremely effective. The problem is most people don't want to initiate the call anymore.
Yeah.
Younger people especially don't want to use the phone. I don't know what's going on. But if you want to stand out, call people. And yeah, you might get voicemail. That's not rejection. That just means you got voicemail. And another fantastic way is voiced text. How many of you have sent voice text? Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to text on your phone and you press that microphone and you hold it down and you create an audio message. Now they hear your voice and your humor and your tone, and it's much different than email. And it's super effective. You can only do one at a time, but nonetheless, it's effective. In
Hi,
those
Michael.
links
It's Effie.
that I
I'm
sent
sorry.
you, sorry.
No, I was gonna ask you a question, but go ahead.
Okay, hang on, Effie. In those links that I just sent you, I pasted it in again, everybody. If you want to sign up for one thing, right? I would sign up for my YouTube videos because they're short, 2-minute things. And there's so many, like I demonstrate it as I'm telling you what it is. So it's a fantastic way. And in YouTube, you type 4 words, my full name, which is Michael Angelo Caruso, and then a 4th keyword, selling, Zoom, email, and those topics will come up, you see? So it's a fantastic way to search and save a whole bunch of time. Effie.
It's actually more of a common observation. In regards to just following up and speaking to people. I'm
Yes.
scheduled to go to a conference next week, and I've been to this conference for the last 4 years, and this is the first time someone personally called just to confirm my registration and to thank me for my registration. And I thought, wow, how powerful was that?
Yeah,
Because that's never happened before, and I can't imagine how many calls they need to make, to make that happen. So I just
but
wanted
it's,
to, feed in
yeah.
with you, like, why do you think that is?
What was the conference for, Effie?
It's a political conference in Albany.
Okay. So I don't know. Let's make it a simple thing. So let's say the political, it's a PAC, political action group, and they're looking for money
Mm,
eventually.
mm, mhm,
So how about they call you and they tell you they're calling to confirm your registration, but what they're really
mhm.
calling to do is develop relationship with you so they can find out if you got some money to give them. You see what's happening?
Gotcha,
And I'm not saying
gotcha. Mhm,
that's what they were doing,
mhm,
but I can tell you this, when somebody orders one of my books and I sign it for them and I send them the book, I call them a week later, not always, I don't have that kind of time, but I call once in a while and I'll say, hey, did you receive my book? And I don't say, did you read it? Because a lot of times they haven't read it yet and I'm so disappointed.
mhm,
But I say to them, I'm glad
mhm,
you received it. Tell me, what is your interest in this topic? And they say, well, I'm a CEO of a company. And I say,
mhm,
really? Tell me about the company. Do you ever hire outside speakers? Do you have any training sessions coming up? Can I help you with maybe one of those? And before
mhm,
you know it, I get hired for the keynote
mm.
just
Okay.
because I made the phone call. Do you understand?
Mhm. Yes, yes. Thank you for that. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
welcome. It's all about the relationships, guys. Michael, thanks for the information. I'm actually driving and listening on my way back to Rhode Island. What's your opinion of catchphrases when it comes to marketing? I think catchphrases are great, but they should not be a cliche. They have to be fresh and original. And what's a cliche? It's something that you heard from somebody else. So it has to be fresh, right? For example, I teach sales training, and I made up a saying that people love, and the saying is, if you don't want to be treated like a salesperson, stop acting like one. Thumbs up if that's attractive to you. Does that seem interesting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nobody else says it like that. I do. And so they go, I like this guy. I'm going to like his YouTube channel. I'm going to subscribe to this, So by using original phrases that actually grab people by the ear like this, and you can test it with friends. Go at dinner tonight. Do you like this phrase or this phrase better? And your family will tell you, or whoever you live with will tell you. It's pretty cool. Anything else I can do for you before we say
Question,
goodbye?
Michael. Then. So, you know, because you spoke on like it's about relationship and it's about it's putting that extra effort, like the phone calls or following up. So why do you feel like a lot of people don't do it? What's the major reason why
Well,
it doesn't?
yeah, I think they're not dedicated to the relationship. They're busy but not productive. They get distracted. On Facebook, it's called dump and run. I'm gonna post my offering, but I'm not gonna come back and see the comments. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You've got to come back to the comments and see what people are saying. Otherwise, how do you know what people are thinking? How about this? They're asking questions in comments about what you're pitching, and nobody's there to answer them. It's like they would be calling your storefront and you don't answer the phone. It makes no sense to me. So it's this dedication to the relationship, asking more questions. I appreciate you. Compliments are super important. Boy, you ask great questions. Thank you so much, Effie. I wish all of my clients were like you know, and and make sure they're sincere. Don't put on a fake thing, right? When people come to my Rotary Club, I'm going to tell you this, and my club doesn't like me talking like this, but it's true, and it's true for most clubs. When people come to my Rotary Club, I approach everybody that's in the club and I shake hands with them and I say, thank you for coming. I don't care if they're my guests, somebody else's guests. I don't care if they're walk-ins. I say, my name's Michael Angelo Caruso. Nice to meet you. What brings you here today? And I'm sorry to say, not everyone in my club does that. Imagine if everyone in your club greeted every guest. What a powerful message that would be, and how many more guests would come back a second time. But, you know, human nature is we get busy with the people we know and we're running late. If you come in late for the meeting, you're not saying hello to anybody. President Pete wants you in your chair, you know. Anything else?
They also do promotions for like the flyers to give out to people.
What do you mean,
Like,
Barry? Tell me more.
like if someone who promote their business on their website, people could buy it online. But you could go to like supermarkets and libraries to pass out flyers to people, including
Yeah,
like coffee shops and stuff.
I think flyers work. It's old school, but old school it works, right? Old school is effective. Flyer. The issue with flyer is somebody has to actually be there to hand it out, right? Unlike a PDF, which is new school. With PDF, I can post it online. I can post it again. I can post it again. I can change it, post it again. I can get it to these different platforms, right?
Yeah.
Here's something most people don't do. You get a JPEG and you're moving it around on Facebook, but you don't think to move it over to Twitter because this is Facebook. But the JPEG works on Facebook, it works on Twitter, it works on LinkedIn, it works on Instagram. Maybe not so well on Instagram. But you can use it on your website, you can use it in all these different places. So you got a bright group here, President Pete, Chris. All you need to do is slow down a little bit, strategize, take care of the relationship, and people will keep coming closer and closer to you. Rotary by itself is an amazing value proposition. We help people. Who can't get jiggy with that? Right?
I believe Stella has her hand raised for a question, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, Stella, one more.
Awesome presentation. Thank you for your valuable insight. So we're trying to get businesses to sponsor our events.
Yes.
What do you recommend our strategy should be? For example, maybe people in Yonkers, businesses in Yonkers.
Yeah, it's a common problem. Let's talk about this and then we'll close. So the primary model for soliciting sponsorships is you knock on it's a door-to-door solicitation. You know, you knock on the door or some facsimile of that, and you hold out your hand, and you go, write me a check, because it's the right thing to do. You know, you want to give back to the community. We're Rotary. Write us the check. but there's no quid pro quo. What are you doing with them,
Yes.
right? So the way we like to structure it, the way I tell people to structure it is, you have to explain what the business is going to get for their money. Are they going to get free tickets? Are they going to get media attention? Are they going to get internet impressions? When we're trying to collect, and we don't do like $25 donations, we're trying to get, in my world, we're trying to get $500, $1,000, $2,500 donations. The premier sponsor for our most recent event for Troy Rotary was a $5,000 get, $5,000.
Okay.
And so we tell them, we're going to give you 50,000 internet impressions. Do we count them? No. But do we make sure that their name gets out online? Yes. And do we tag them every single time? Yes. We tag the name of the company and we tag the name of the person that arranged the check, because we want Jeff Caponegro to see that I followed through on my promise, man. Look, here's your company being mentioned again, Jeff, again. And he sees, well, that Caruso guy really followed through. We're going to have to give money out next year too, because we budget money for this every year. Why don't we give it to Troy Rotary again next year? Again, back to the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. But another quick question just to follow up. So in order for you to promise that, like for instance, if you promise that you're going to give 50,000 impressions, does that mean you have to have a lot of followers? Let's say you only have a few.
It helps.
How do you, but if you only have like 200 followers, what would be your, like, what's the formula for what you promised the
Well,
business?
when you say we, you're talking about like you personally have 200 followers, but you have to add them all up. Effie's got followers, Pete's got followers, Chris has followers. You add them all up and you get all of them to post and tag. Then this guy starts seeing people he doesn't even know tagging him.
Okay.
You see, it's there.
Okay.
Yeah. Think about this, guys. I don't know how many, anybody know how many followers your Facebook, your Rotary Club Facebook page has?
About 800.
800?
Yeah.
I'll bet everybody on this call has more followers than that on their personal page. Am I right? Thumbs up if I'm right. You have more than 800 followers on your personal Facebook page.
I only have 400.
So add them all up. Don't just post on the club page. Post on the club page and every member's page. Now we're all rowing at the same time. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
Okay. I'm easy to find online. Hit me up for more stuff. Ask when you go to that group. I'll post it again. Look for that Get the Word Out Now group, because we have people there from all over the world. Get the word out now. Let's see where it is in the list here. There it is. It's the second from the bottom. Get the word out now. Click on that link right now and it'll open up in your browser. It'll be there after the Zoom call ends. And join that group, because we're helping people improve their marketing campaigns all the time. I think Chris has joined it and he's in it.
Michael, on the last suggestion that you made, I have a question. Let's say you have an event and the budget is about, let's say, $10,000. And typically I'm expecting that our budgets are going to be increasing because the project size is going to be increasing.
Yes.
Talk about getting corporate donations for that. If you are talking about, let's say, $500 a pop, okay, for getting $10,000, you need, let's average it out, about 20 corporate donors. Would it be a little too much trying to kind of push all these 20 through postings all the time?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Chris.
Well, let's say you have 20 people who give you $500 a pop. You can't tell everybody that I'm gonna, your this one name is going to be imprinted in at least 50,000 images or prints in digitally.
Why?
That's not a realistic promise.
Well, it's nothing you can ever prove. So it's the honor system. But if they have a sense that you did a better than average job of promoting, then they're good. It's not like the old days when even think about the old days when they said a magazine spread was being seen by X number of people. How would you know for sure? How about a billboard? They said the billboard's seen by 7 million people a day on the freeway. How do you know for sure? You just you just do your best, and as a representative feeling from them that you did what you said you were going to do. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. It's been my pleasure to be with you. I smell food coming from my kitchen, and that can only mean one thing. Time to eat. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank
I hope
you.
some of
Thank you
get
so
to the
much.
Houston-
Okay, let's give a big hand to Michael. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you,
very
thank
much.
you, Michael.
I love you guys. Keep up the good work, okay?
Yes,
Absolutely.
will.
Well,
I'll stay with you on as long as I can here.
Okay,
Okay.
great.